Angela Hooper-Menifield is the founder of Menifield & Associates, which specializes in executive and life coaching, public speaking, leadership development, consulting, human behavior assessments, mentorship, raising the leadership lid of individuals and organizations, and helping individuals at all levels and sectors get unstuck. Here's Angela Hooper-Menifield in When It's Time to Move On.
And as I've grown older and more mature, I've come to realize and believe that one of the most difficult to articulate, address, and one that few people discuss and prepare for is the realization of when it's time to move on. You see, an added struggle to this can be taking that leap of faith, trusting in your instinct, believing in yourself, and following your dreams. Because this move and step, it comes to us in various forms. I can't tell you the number of times I've had people share a story with me, and in that moment, it was tragic. It was the most terrible thing that had ever happened to them. They were laid off or lost their job. The love of their life had broken their heart. Or they had applied for a promotion that they didn't receive, or the college of their choice had rejected them. But whatever the story was, in that moment, this was the worst day of their life. The funny thing about it, though, was later, something better, greater, and more fulfilling came into their life as a result of it. Now, I don't have to tell you what their response was when the greater thing came. If they were a religious person, they said something like, "The devil meant it for bad, but God meant it for good." If they believed in karma, they said, "I'm reaping my harvest from all the good I've done in my past." Then there was, "Well, you know, one door closed and a window opened for me. And let's not forget, well, there's another bus coming around the corner every 15 minutes. I even had one mentor of mine say, "The universe set in motion and opened up things to relieve me from a stressful situation." So is it just me, or do you notice as well that most, not necessarily all, they only move on to the greater, more fulfilling thing when they're forced to do so? None of these people woke up on those days expecting a letter of rejection or hoping for it. None of them were wanting the love of their lives, so they thought, to break their hearts. None of these people were wanting to be fired. We know that most of these people would still be where they were had those terrible things not happened to them. Because in that moment, this is where they thought they wanted to be. So if this is the paradigm that we have for people moving on to better and more fulfilling things, where do we go for research, for examples of failures and successes, when we believe in our heart it's time for us to move on? Now, before I go further into this question, let me be perfectly clear. I am not speaking about situations when people's safety are in danger, when they are in dangerous situations, when they are working a horrendous job that does not meet their need or fulfill them. I'm speaking about situations where people are living lives that most of us would say is pretty good. If it's a job, the pay more than pays their bills. They like the people that they work with. They are viewed as competent. They like their clients and their coworkers. And if it's a relationship, they like the person that they're in the relationship with. Their partner or their friends are pleasant and they get along well. In other words, on a scale of 1 to 10, these people would rank their lives in this point in time as a 7, 7.5, as average to good. The issue is these same people have something inside of them that's nudging and nagging at them. Something that when they think about it, the more and more they do, they start to fall in love with it. They get a twinkling in their eye because they're starting to think about that thing that we would call their sweet spot. It's the thing that author Scott Fay says in the book, The Sweet Spot, when your purpose, your passion, and your plan, they all intersect. I describe it as it's that thing that even when you try to push it away, when it comes back to your thoughts, you get butterflies in your stomach when you think about it. It's that thing that we often say sometimes, if money wasn't an issue, I'd do it for free. It's that thing that when we have our most intimate thoughts, be it with friends or family, or we're journaling, or we're in thought and prayer, that we use the phrase sometimes and say, someday. Well, my question is, why someday? Why not today? Do we really need permission for our dreams? Have we gotten so comfortable with being comfortable that we're not willing to fight for the things that we love and desire? You see, I had to ask myself, was I just content with living a life that gave me what I want? Or was I willing to live a life that required everything of me? As my mentor and author John Maxwell says in his book, Intentional Living, did I only want to live a life of good intentions, or did I want to live a life that was intentional? Mediocrity is around us every day, and I was guilty of it too. We walk around and we continue to hope that things will get better. And when we don't, or when it doesn't, we do the next best thing. We put those hopes and dreams in our children. We want them to then carry out the things that we didn't have the courage to do ourselves. Some of us even have the audacity to get angry when our children want to live out their own dreams or live in their sweet spot. So the question then becomes, what are we willing to overcome and what obstacles are we willing to forego in order to live in our purpose? And for me, I had to decide it was any and everything. The other thing I figured out was the only way that we can be the best version of ourselves was that we had to change our belief system. Because none of us can outperform our current belief system. We have to change our belief system about our knowledge, our skills, and our abilities, and our legacy. You see, each of us have a desire in us and an impact that we know that we want to leave on others. And in order to do that, we have to ask ourselves these questions. So I'm sure you're wondering, well, how do we change our belief system? Well, while I don't have time to tell you today during the TED Talk, I can tell you this. A belief system is created two ways. One is by spaced repetition of time, which means positive affirmations, okay? So that means if you hear the same thing over and over again, it becomes a habit or something that's fixed. So those of us who hear positive affirmations or positive encouragement over and over again, we're going to have more positive thoughts than those who hear negative affirmations. The other way is through emotional sudden impact. That means something happens to us. An example of that could be, for instance, if as a young child, I have a scary situation with a big dog. As a result of that, I'm now afraid of dogs. Or let's say the first time I fly on an airplane, it's very turbulent. I'm just happy the plane lands. As a result of that, I may now have a fear of flying. Both of those situations only happened one time, but the sudden impact of those things created my belief system. So for me, I had to figure out, did I want to just continue to live a life that was good when greatness was within my grasp? You see, the road from good to great, it's not for the faint at heart. If we really want to pursue our dreams, we have to be willing to fight for them. Napoleon Hill says in his book, Think and Grow Rich, we don't need permission for our dreams. However, he does tell us we do have to be persistent. So what I had to learn was, not only did I have to be persistent in my dreams, I had to believe in my dreams. I had to believe in myself. How could I not believe in myself and ask others to believe in me and believe in themselves? So now the new question for me became, what was I willing to give up to go up? This was the hardest question of them all. You see, for me, I was in a place that was pretty good. I really liked my job. I was good at it. I liked the people that I worked with. The other problem was I could have done it in my sleep. I was unconsciously competent. You know what that looks like, right? It's when, for instance, you drive in your car, and then you end up at your final destination, and you don't quite recall everything that you passed while you were driving there, or all the mechanics that you used to drive your car. The reason you can do that is because you're good at driving your car now. How you know that you are unconsciously competent when you drive your car? Because you're doing other things like putting on lipstick, eating a sandwich, changing the radio station. Well, that's what my job had become for me. So again, what was I willing to give up to go up? I had to acknowledge I could always get another job, but could I get another dream? So yes, I walked away after 27 years from my 9 to 5. This wasn't an impulsive decision. It was one that was made after much prayer and contemplation and discussion with my husband and financial planner. But I will tell you this, I did not let the need to know all the steps prevent me from taking the first step. I trust and believe that upon taking the first step, the other steps would be revealed to me. And so far, I have not been wrong. The other thing I will share with you is this. I did not let the need for perfection keep me from the good that I could do right now. Many of us require perfection before we take that first step. How you get good or how you get great is to start where you are. I took the good that I was already doing and I continue to work on it. Everyone needs a growth plan. If you're not growing daily, you will become stagnant. So I encourage you to get a coach or a mentor or someone to walk with you on that journey. But you can get great in the things that you want to do. So now, the time to move on. It's not when life is beating you down, when you're at the end of your rope, and you've been rejected. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't move on then as well, but my point is this. If you have a dream or a desire inside of you, it wants to be birthed. If you don't allow that dream to be birthed, it's going to die inside of you. How many of us, if we had a baby, would not feed it, nurture it, and meet all its needs? Well, for some of us, or some of you, I should say, your dream is your baby. And no matter how broke, tired, or discouraged you are, I know you would not allow your real baby to starve and not be taken care of. So my question is, why are you allowing that baby to not be taken care of? Your dream needs you to give all that you have for it. Your dream is telling you it's time for you to move on. Thank you.